Hey, what's up, guys? We're going to talk about the craziest experience I've ever had going to a concert. And this was one of those musical festivals where you have like 40, 50,000 people. It's outdoors, and it had Megadeth, Lamb of God, Five Finger Death Punch, and it also had Stone Sour and Limp Bizkit at the show. But I went to go see Black Label Society, because I caught the end of Black Label Society, and then they said, well, after Black Label Society, about 20 minutes later would be Five Finger Death Punch, right? So Five Finger Death Punch I waited for. I was like, hey, me and this girl are the only two people sitting here waiting for the front row. So we got front row right up against the guardrail. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm right up against the guardrail. It's going to be the funnest show I've ever experienced. I'm going to see the band up close because I'm a Five Finger Death Punch fan. I know a lot of people say they're garbage, they're horrible, they're trash, they're manufactured band, whatever. But I was sitting there, and this tall guy at first was bumping me, trying to get to the front. And I'm literally here. Here's where the guy was, where my door is, right here. And I'm in the front of the guardrail, and he's bumping me. And I finally elbow him like this, just give him like a fat elbow, and he looks at me, and he's got to be like here, and I'm here. So he's like big as The Rock, and I'm like Kevin Hart. So he's a big, strong, muscular dude. So the security guard finally looks at him and goes, dude, come here. And the security guard grabs the guy and goes, get the fuck over the guardrail, you're going to the back. So he ended up getting the guy over, and he walked to the back, and the security guard said he was making sure that I felt safe. And I was like, I appreciate the fact that you did that, because if you didn't notice it, I would have had to deal with this guy the whole show, and the show would have sucked. So after that, about 3 songs in, they start playing their heavier stuff, and they say, let's get the crowd crazy. So I'm going to play some footage that I found on YouTube of the crowd, and they said, let's get this crowd crazy. So they started going crazy. They were moshing, like the biggest mosh pit I've ever seen. And I'm telling you, I've seen Lamb of God, Killswitch Engage, I've seen Slipknot, I've seen Megadeth, all live before. I've seen Slayer, and none of the crowds were this ridiculous, this crazy, this violent. And you had people that were like 300 pounds trying to crowd surf to Five Finger Death Punch. And when you have a 300-pound guy or girl like getting pushed, a lot of times the crowd can't hold them up, so they would fall, and they were landing on people. These fat people were landing on like skinny people, and some of these people were being ushered out, stretchered out, taken to the hospital. And Five Finger Death Punch finally came out on the stage and said, hey, you guys need to calm down. You guys are going too crazy. You're sending people to the hospital because you're hurting people from crowd surfing and going too crazy in the mosh pit. And every 5 to 10 seconds, it felt like, when I was in the front row, there was people flying over me to the security guards where they could take them over the guardrail. And I was literally like this for like one whole song, because there were so many people coming over the guardrail. This girl that I was standing next to, she had to be like maybe 22 or something. And we were talking, and she was doing this too, because they were flying over us. And if we weren't putting our hands up like this, like turtling up, you had people flying over us. And a lot of times I got kicked in the head, I got elbowed in the head, and at one point I felt fearful for my life, because you had this big dude, probably like 6'5", 200 pounds, flying over me, and he almost landed on me, and the security guard had to grab him and pull him over. And when the band tells you that you need to calm down, that means you're going too violent. I don't know what this crowd was on, if they were just all drunk, or if it was because we were out in the sun from 8 in the morning and it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't really know what was up with this crowd, but they were going so crazy. The band switched like that from being a heavy band and started playing like some of their acoustic-y songs and their slower stuff to calm the crowd down. But that didn't seem to work. Once they started getting back into their like heavier stuff, the crowd was still going crazy. They were moshing like the biggest mosh pit I've ever seen. People were crowd surfing like crazy, and I don't recommend going to a concert, being at the front of the guardrail. I don't recommend it, because you have people pushing you to get to the front, because you know when you stand in like the middle of the concert, like middle of the group, right? A lot of people still push to get through to get to the front. But when you're at the front, there's no room for you to move left to right or just to get out of the way because you have so many people pushing against you. The only way you can get out of that situation is have the security guard or bounce or whatever pick you up and take you over the guardrail so you can walk around and get out of the crowd. But I wanted to stay and watch the concert, so I stuck it out. But I felt fearful when I had big dudes just flying over me and I'm turtled up like this and I had nowhere to move. I had nowhere to go, and it's surprising that a Five Finger Death Punch crowd was more vicious and violent than the Lamb of God show that day and the Megadeth show that day. You would think those bands would be more heavier, more aggressive, but Five Finger Death Punch had the craziest crowd I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is a video response basically to my boy here on YouTube, Megadeth Dan, with the worst concert experience ever. But I'm glad I went there. I'm glad I had that experience. But I'm glad I'll never ever be a front row person again. I definitely will never recommend going to a front row unless you're at a concert where you're buying tickets where you're basically sitting in chairs. Then it's okay because then you're in a stadium where you're sitting in chairs. Then you're not going to get hurt. But when you're at an outdoor festival or indoor festival where you're standing up against a guardrail and you have people that can run and mosh and crowd surf, you're going to get hurt in the front row. So I don't really mosh pit person. I'm more of a headbanger. I don't really like, I crowd surf once in a while, but I haven't done that as of late going to shows. But like I said, this is my story about my worst concert experience ever. What was your worst experience ever? Let me know in the comment section below. Was it a violent incident, or was it just the band sucked in general? But Five Finger Death Punch, they put on a great show from what I remember. It was just the fact that the crowd was too nuts, and I'm a small dude. I was in the front row, and I was getting kicked in the head basically every 4 to 5 seconds from the crowd surfers.